YouTube today. We got the Deadly Divide in East London, Manor Park versus Drillford. I haven't done one of these. I don't even remember. It's probably been at least like 2 months. I think I might have done the last one in like September. It might be longer than that. But let's get into it.
We are traveling to the London borough of Newham. Newham has had an ongoing problem with gangs in the area. An example of this is North Side Newham versus South Side Newham, which has been going on for more than a decade. However, this video isn't focusing on North Side and South Side Newham, but we are instead focusing on the ongoing war between Manor Park and Drillford. These gangs are very close to each other, only being separated by one road, that being the A406. OM is a gang based on the Little Ilford estate in Manor Park, E12. OM is allied with nearby North Side Newham and...
Bro, how do niggas be finding all this information? Like, they be finding all this information. They be finding information that the police don't know. Like, how do y'all know this? Maybe it's because y'all just be outside. I don't know.
Mainly beefs Drillford, which is what we are focusing on today. Drillford are a gang based in Ilford. Drillford is split into two different sets, that being MCE, which stands for Money Comes Easy, and MOD, which stands for Mainly on Dough. They both rep the IG1 postcode despite being separated into two different blocks. The beef between these two sets has been getting very active over the last 4 years, with 6 people being killed as a result. It is unknown how the beef between Drillford and Manor Park started, but it's alleged that a Manor Park member named FARMER12 was robbed by Drillford.
Bro, this nigga's name is FARMER12. What?
Members a few years ago, causing tension between the sets. The first few instances of this beef kicking off would be when a Manor Park member named FARMER12 would shoot a Drillford member named Giddy in the head in 2016.
Oh, wow.
This would result in Giddy being put on life support, but he would fortunately survive. A few years later, in early 2019, Giddy would be caught again by Farmer and another Manor Park GM called Snipes. They would find Giddy and stab him several times. He was put on life support and would luckily survive again.
Yo, bro, who is he? Is he Batman? He got shot in the head. He got stabbed. Life support twice. Survived twice. Bro, like, who is he, bro?
8th of April 2019, whilst Giddy was in hospital being treated for the stabbing, the first person would be killed as a result of the beef.
Oh, they got it on CCTV.
A loved Manor Park member named Niz, who was trying to change his life around, was attacked by multiple Drillford members. He was shot and then stabbed by the members. He sadly died on the scene as a result of the stab wounds. This murder is unsolved to this day, with no one being charged or convicted for this murder. Rest in peace to Niz. After the death of Niz, Manor Park members would be looking for revenge wherever they could, due to Niz being a loved and well-respected Manor Park member. However, only 2 months later, the retaliation Manor Park was looking for would come. On the 30th of June 2019, a Drillford member named OS would be walking in southeast London when 2 Manor Park members named FARMER12 and Snipes would spot him. They would jump out of their car and would attack and stab OS 17 times, with the entire attack being caught on a doorbell camera. The Manor Park members would then get in the car and flee the scene. OS would stagger across the road and be picked up by a passing car and taken to hospital. Unfortunately, he would be pronounced dead hours later as a result of the stab wounds. The car used by the Manor Park members was then burned. However, Farmer and Snipes were still arrested and charged in connection.
They burned a whip? Bro, they take it. Is this GTA? Burn a whip is OC. Like,
to the murder. They were both found guilty, with them being sentenced to a minimum of 21 and 23 years. Rest in peace, OS. On the 28th of September 2019, a Manor Park member named Specs would carry out a double shooting on Drillford members.
Oh, getting killed after praying is like, that's ridiculous. That is actually ridiculous.
He would hit both members, putting them both in critical condition. However, they would make a recovery. Drillford members would...
I missed something.
Manor Park member named Specs would carry out a double shooting on Drillford members. He would hit both members, putting them both in critical condition. However, they would make a recovery. Drillford members would look for retaliation wherever they could for the double shooting incident. And one of the most brutal incidents would take place throughout the beef. And eventually, they would find it. On the 19th of November 2019, a friend of Specs named Sharik Khan would phone Specs and arrange to meet together. What Specs didn't know was that his friend had been getting close with Drillford members. Specs would get in Sharik Khan's car and would drive to a block of garages in Hursley Gardens. What Specs didn't know was that he was being set up. Upon arriving at the block of garages, another car...
Hey, Dale, you seen that too, bro? Like, I didn't want to say nothing, but you know what? I'm gonna show y'all. Actually, I can't. It's a vid. I'm gonna do it after.
car would pull in and enter the garages. The second car would contain multiple Drillford members. The Drillford members would get out of their car and start attacking Specs. Specs managed to get away shortly, but was chased and stabbed over 50 times, all over his body. Sadly, Specs would be pronounced dead at 10:53 p.m.
Bro,
just
you gotta close that back door. The 48 is crazy.
30 minutes after being attacked. Police would track the attackers through fingerprints on the vehicles and DNA left at the scene. This resulted in all 7 members involved in the murder of Specs being sentenced to 128 years in prison combined. However, the violence wouldn't stop there.
Hold on. How many, like,
sentenced to 120.
7 defendants, 128 years combined. That. Wait, it was. Nah, facts, though. But, like, combined, it's all of them together. Like who individually, unless they're saying combined, is and they all got 128
years in prison combined. However, the violence wouldn't stop there. In
Combined
2020, Manor Park members would start making music. This wasn't unheard of, as FARMER12 rapped before getting jailed for life. But other members would start jumping on tracks and telling the media about what was going on in the streets. Manor Park and Drillford often dissed fallen members and each other in these.
Right, y'all gotta leave that drilling man alone, bro. Y'all gotta leave that drilling man alone. But you see the 48, bro. Don't play with him.
Songs.
That glad, home right. I got my guys. Shot and shank survive. Shot and shanked and this beef is pop.
Wait for the girlfriend, both got franked. Giddy got chinked and he almost died. Snipes had him looking like Frankenstein. Oh, expert, how many times? I knew when it was slush and ice. I'm too cat, I'm
Drillford members also
although
they had been rapping for over 6 years. Drillford's main rappers are Show Psycho and Giddy. Manor Park's main rappers are FARMER12, M12, and Recce. On the 1st of November 2020, a Drillford member named Yellows was riding on his bike around Ilford. Whilst he was riding his bike, Manor Park members would be on a ride out looking for ops. A Manor Park member named S. Loose would see Yellows and run him over whilst he was on his bike. 2 other Manor Park members would get out of the car and shoot Yellows in the head twice. Yellows was sadly pronounced dead on the scene, but the ride out didn't end for S. Loose and the other Manor Park members. They carried on looking for ops, and 15 minutes later they would spot another op shooting him in the chest. Luckily, the second man survived. S. Loose would be the only one arrested in connection to this murder, as phone.
Oh, so they just outside. Like, they just outside. Like,
records and DNA evidence proved he was the driver, with the gunman still not being identified or arrested. S. Loose would be given a combined sentence of 35 years for this murder. The shooting he committed moments after the murder. Rest in peace, Yellow. Whilst Manor Park and
35, that's it? Like, 35 a lot, but it's not for what he did. Like, vehicular manslaughter, conspiracy, like, 35? Oh, no, see, my dog can start barking for no reason.
Drillford, where dissing each other on Snapchat and in songs, shootings and stabbings would be happening in the streets. A Drillford member named Giddy would start dropping tracks around this time as well. Giddy has been present throughout all of the beef. If you remember, he was stabbed by FARMER12 on 2 different occasions in the early days of the rivalry. Whilst a lot of Giddy's songs were leaked, he would still diss his ops loads in these songs. Sadly, this road life would catch up to Giddy in the worst way.
Police are holding a news conference after a shooting that left 2 people dead and a 3rd critically injured. Let's just listen in.
On the 25th of October 2022, Giddy and his cousin, named Zach, were trapping out of a bando on Henley Road. What they didn't know was that Manor Park members got the drop on Giddy and the other people in the trap house and planned to ride out that night. After midnight on the 25th of October 2022, 2 cars would park outside of the house. One of the Manor Park members, wearing a black Joker mask, would then go through the front door and would start shooting at everyone in the house. Giddy and his cousin Zach, who was a civilian, were both shot and then stabbed multiple times. They were both pronounced dead on the scene, with 2 other men being left in critical condition after being shot multiple times. Zach, who was a civilian, was shot 7 times and stabbed 5 times, and Giddy was shot 4 times and stabbed 28 times. Other Drillford members would start jumping out of windows and hiding within the house whilst this was happening. This incident quickly hit the news with how brutal it was. CCTV was released a few days after the murders. It showed the killers fleeing the house, running to a getaway vehicle.
And they're not even running fast.
5 men have been arrested and have all been found guilty of the double murder of Giddy and Zach. One of the men was not found guilty of murder, but instead found guilty.
Is that? Y'all know who I'm looking at. Is that bro? No, that's not him.
Found guilty of the double murder of Giddy and Zach. One of the men was not found guilty of murder, but instead found guilty of perverting the course of justice after burning the getaway car used in the attack. Rest in peace, Giddy and Zach. Whilst there haven't been any murders linked to the rivalry since 2022, the beef is still ongoing in the streets, with stabbings and shootings still occurring. Recently, FARMER12, who was convicted and given 23 years for the murder of OS, went on live and said he would kill another op and ride another 23 years.
23 years, and I'll get another 23 years to kill an op. When it comes to killing op,
this just shows how much these men hate their...
Bro, you're in jail. Like, you're not gonna be eligible for nothing.
Ops and don't care about freedom. By the time FARMER12 comes out of jail, all the people that are around him now will have grown up and will most likely have forgotten about him. Whilst the life drill rappers or gang members lead looks appealing, it really isn't. These men have all lost friends to the violence in prison, which just proves that it really isn't worth it. Rest in peace, everyone in this video. If you or someone you know is getting involved with this lifestyle, try and help them to escape it before it's too late. If you enjoy this...
I was gonna check something else after this video. Well, after the live, I forgot what it was. This was interesting. I gotta do some more of these. Yeah, but y'all like, comment, subscribe, request on the gram, request in the comments. Let me know how you feel about this one. I'll catch y'all in the next one.